I figured it's time to actually revisit what I term the art of bamboozling. Because it's technically not really anything new. It's just mental and emotional and spiritual alchemy, to put it simply. It's just that the way that I go about defining it, it's more comical. I'm going to give some time for people to flock in and whatnot. So let's see what's new. I finally got my finally got that website that I was talking about up and running. Finally, I don't think I even put it in the description. Hold on, get out of the way, computer thing. Move. Uh-oh. It's not working, but anyway, not the site, but this thing that I was going to use it to share with is not working, so it can get pushed off the cliff. So, the art of bamboozling, or mental or spiritual emotional alchemy. It's actually very simple. Like, it's kind of like, simple. Like, keeping it to a point where you have to be technically outplaying something else, if that makes sense. For an example, say you have someone trying to manipulate you into doing whatever they want you to do, and you clearly don't want to do it. The way that you actually go about using this is very simple. First, you have to get the sense and awareness of self, which is simple. All you have to do is this. You just have to answer your questions along these lines. Number one. Whose body is this that you're in right now? In my case, it's mine, me. Whose eyes are these? In the case, it would be, you'd be saying you, your own. These are mine, my eyes. What am I smelling out of? My nose. I'm hearing from my ears. I'm tasting with my tongue, obviously. And I feel everything on my skin, my body, it sends a touch. And the thoughts that are in my head are my own. So now that we have an awareness that everything that's attached, like this physical body, since it belongs to you, now we can go a little bit deeper. Who is the one that makes the decisions for you? And yes, the answer is going to be the exact same thing over and over again, but you have to go through all of this digging and digging and digging and digging to get to like the very core of it all. That's how you get full control of yourself to decide where to put it next. So we know that obviously the person that has control over yourself is you. So who makes the choices for you? The answer is the same. It's you. Or essentially, if you're just doing it on your own and it was just you, you're asking the questions yourself, you'd be saying, myself. So we know that this is your body. You make the choices. You decide what happens. And the thoughts in your head are your own. So now the next question is, whose life is it? Yep, the answer is the same. It's yours. So with that in mind, who decides how it plays out? Who decides what happens next? Who makes the final say with everything? You do. Yep, that's how simple you have to like narrow it down to. So getting to the point where it's like, okay, my life, I have the final say what happens with this piece of kunzite that's mine. I decide what I'm going to do with it. Now from there, that's where you can do whatever the heck you want to do with it, because you have the final say with it. But now say, back to that example, if somebody's trying to control and manipulate you to do something you don't want to do, and you clearly have said nope, don't want to do it, but they just keep pushing. So now you get to make the decision on how you can actually respond to it. This is my life, my body, I make the final say, and I'm choosing to say, no, I don't want to do whatever the heck you want me to do. You're in full control of yourself, and whatever anybody or anything outside of you tries to push you to do, you can just completely, like that, But of course, you got to use your head. You can't be like this to, like, say, a law enforcement officer. That's like, put your hands behind your back. If you tell them, nope, you don't exist, that's not going to work. You got to be practical with this. But primarily the focus that I'm focusing on is the idea of actually incorporating it in magic and actually kind of outplaying on the spiritual side too, from saying somebody, like say for an example, if somebody throws a curse your way and you know about it because you did divination and you noticed it. Well, since somebody has put a curse on you, since it's now on you, you can actually decide what happens with the curse. You can actually now make that curse go from something that's debilitating you and making you weaker. You can actually take it, turn it on its head. How in the heck do you do that? It's quite simple. By bamboozling it as such. There you go. All you would need to do is something so simple. Pen, writing piece of paper. And now pretty much you just write out something, because yeah, we're doing chaos magic for this. So since you know you're cursed, you would make a symbol that would be the curse from, insert person's name here. I'll just put twat. The curse from the twat now becomes beneficial to me. So now you have that written statement. Now this is where it gets funny and a lot of fun. You just write out all the consonants. So having now all of our consonants right there, now you make a cutesy little symbol with it. However the heck you want to make it. Doesn't matter, you can make it as fancy or as meh as you deem fit. There's no right or wrong way to making this thing. As long as it's there, that's all that matters. Make it as whimsical as what in the world as, oh, that's nicely structured. Doesn't matter. As long as it's there, we're good. There we go. So, from that written thing that I just wrote out, the curse from Twathead now becomes beneficial to me. Once you have your little symbol thing, and if that's what it looks like for an example. So now all you would have to do is just simply activate it. There's numerous ways to activating it, by simply just taking something like... Exactly. But the funny thing is that the thing with the curse, but actually I'm going to show you this. With incense smoke, this one's actually a black orchid mix, which actually be pretty good for this because this is a occult kind of practice, so you can actually an occult thing you can do. So pretty much you just gingerly have the incense smoke affected, and then giving it the directive to become active, or you can just blow it like that. Or if you want to, do the nasty thing on it, you can. But now essentially this little symbol, now from that curse that Twathead threw at me, all then I have to do is put this symbol just somewhere on my body. Literally, that's all you have to do. Because the thing is with like a curse, a hex, or anything that is a baneful or a thought form or something that's sent off to attach to someone and to kind of like inject the intention into them, that thing only knows how to do one thing. Dump whatever it was carrying onto you. Be it good or bad, it doesn't matter. This will take whatever that curse is putting onto me and flip it. So instead of it being debilitating, it's actually going to benefit me now. Because in the occult world, this is something that people don't talk about. If you know if it exists, you can target it. You can target the curse. But you're indirectly targeting it with this. Because now the curse is not even going to know that it's there. It's on your person. All the curse isn't going to know what to do is just go give you bull crap and make you suffer. It's not going to know that that's there. And that completely filters it out and actually flips it. So it's going to keep doing its thing until it dissipates on its own. While this just does the one thing that you told it to do, which is flip it. Make it go from like, ugh, to, wow, I feel better. I feel like I got some more muscle mass. That's bamboozling them. And the funny thing is that the person, unless they're like really fangirling about you and they actually divinate on you to see how and what's going on, they're not going to know what's going on because they're going to be thinking, how come this person is doing better when I cursed them? I don't get it. But that's simple. That's all it is meant to do. And then once you feel that that's been gone and dissipated, then you can just simply burn the sigil, or actually just keep the sigil whenever that person curses you again. That way, you have a way of protecting yourself and tricking them. But if you're wanting to be more, let's say, let's say if you actually want to use mainly just your mind with it, you're divinated and you realize, oh, somebody's throwing a curse at me again. And instead of me actually making a symbol, I know that somebody threw a curse at me, so look at it this way. You ever have that moment when someone wants to give you something like a gift, and they're so intently fixed on it, like they insist you take the gift? There's nothing in the rule book that says you have to take anything from anybody else, even a gift. So if somebody's trying to give you a curse and put it on you, nope, I can't take your curse. I cannot accept it. You can keep it instead. I'm flattered, but no, you keep it. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to take it. If they're trying to give you something that you don't want, just say, I can't accept it. You can keep it. Simple. Because again, going back to what I said in the beginning, you're in control of you. You decide what happens with you. You decide what affects you. You decide what happens. If someone's trying to give you something you don't want, you can make the final decision if you're going to accept it or not. I'm not gonna. That's it. And it doesn't matter if it's a high-ranking spirit. You're an equal, just like to them, just like how they are to you. You're both an equal. You both need one another in order to survive, technically. But with that in mind, you both have to rely on each other. The spiritual beings, they don't exist unless man exists and acknowledges them. But if man doesn't acknowledge them and look to them for guidance, mankind's not going to get anywhere. So it's an equal give and take with that. But with that in mind, say if you encounter an entity that's having a big hissy fit, like it's just causing havoc and it's just being an absolute nonsense and just headache to everybody. There's nothing in the rule book that holds you back from actually going it and actually informing it. Why are you hissy fitting? Why? And why are you doing this in my house, dude? I didn't even say you can come in here. Because yeah, you didn't even bamboozle spirits with this. But how can you bamboozle something you can't see, but you know it's there and you acknowledge it? Well, you acknowledge it exists, so it's in your house and you are picking up on it. Okay. So that we know it exists and it's in the house and we have proof of it. There's nothing holding you back from approaching it and just asking a simple question like, why are you having a hissy fit? What's bothering you? But if it gets a little bit feisty towards you, there's nothing that says you can't be all like, excuse me, you're in my house? So, how about you don't talk to me like that? Because if you're going to be a big hissy fitter, you can go out the front door. I didn't say you can even come in the first place. True story. Just because it's on the other side, on a different plane, doesn't mean that it can just waltz and do as it pleases. Especially if it's something that thinks it can just cause havoc to whomever it deems fit. No. I've had my experience with one that was, I'm trying to remember its name, Lamashtu. I had an experience with that one. I remember it. Don't get me wrong, it was kind of a little bit mortifying and a little bit intimidating at first. But then after some time I remembered, oh wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm not even doing what I tell people to do to handle this situation. I'm not even doing it myself. But the thing with the Mashtu though, based on my experience with her, is that purposely it wants to just completely destroy and make everything grotesque to look at and everything just vile. That's the natural focus of it. And after learning that, I kind of, best said, trolled it. How did I troll it? Well, since it was pretty much really causing a lot of mental and emotional and psychological distress to me, instead of actually submitting to that, I decided, I'm going to try something different. Nighttime came along, and wide awake, can't sleep, and I just keep hearing outside sound, and it gets kind of a little bit disturbing, but I decided just to be all, wow, is that you singing, Lamashtu? Wow, you have a beautiful voice. But the thing is, whenever you compliment her or tell it's something beautiful, or like it's doing something that's actually very gorgeous to look at, it gets mad. It gets into a big hissy fit. Based on my experience, that is. So I just started complimenting it, and it just got a little bit loud. And I said, wow, you can really hit that high note. That's a beautiful high note. I don't think I've ever heard a gorgeous high note like that. And it just kept getting more and more frustrated, up to the point where it tried to knock something out of my hand. And I said, oh, you almost bumped me there, little one. I know it was an accident. It's okay. I know it was an accident. You weren't intending to do that. And it just kept trying so hard to mess with me. It even knocked over one of my crystal grids by taking out the main piece in the center and tried throwing it, by like having it fly off the end table. And I mean, I couldn't just say, yeah, you know what, you're right. I kind of don't like having that crystal there. Wow, you should have been an interior designer, Lamashtu. Because you have good ideas. And it just got so frustrated, it just left on its own. But that's the idea of like bamboozling something. If something outside of you is trying so hard to take control of you and push you, Yep. Precisely. And even even like with some ideas of like how some people do that law of attraction stuff still. I mean, I have nothing against it. It's just that sometimes the people that are doing it, I can just see right through them and like, you're nothing, hon. You're not convincing me because you're putting on a poker face. That's not from Gaga. Not even close, hon. You're doing it wrong. You don't even have the cards in your hand. One of the best incidents of actually using this bamboozling technique was actually helping out a friend of mine help another friend of hers actually get rid of an entity that was causing havoc in their home. And was trying to put on the persona of like, oh, it's Pazuzu. And after doing some research and actually comparing the two, it was pulling my leg. It was just saying that it'd be like, oh, it's actually a really well-known divine being that is hissy-fitting, which did not really make much sense. But the way that it went down is that my friend messaged me and told me what was going on. And then I just told him, okay, just let them know, or, if they're able to, have them message you what's going on, and then I'll reply back in quotes to what to say and all that. So she sends me all this information about, like, what's going on, what it's doing, how it's behaving, and it turns out it was pretty much just keeping its focus on his girlfriend who was expecting. Yeah. Well, yeah, but well, now don't get me wrong, I can completely understand the idea of actually doing self-help, actually helping somebody, but when you're actually saying, well, you must be doing something wrong then. I must be doing something wrong? Well, the thing is that I followed this thing to the T and it's still not working. Maybe, you're not teaching it right. Oh! Whoops! Oh, did I just bamboozle him? Yep. Are you sure it's my fault that it's not working, or did you not just teach me the correct way? I'm gonna put a TNT stick in their mouth and light it. But the way that it went is the friend told me that supposedly this being was wanting to, that this entity was so fixated on his girlfriend who was expecting because one of their great-grandmothers made a pact deal with him to get the grandchild in exchange for whatever the heck she wanted, but she kicked the bucket. So essentially, supposedly, it was wanting what was due. So then I essentially just put in quotes to say, okay, first and foremost, demand that it identify itself immediately. Like, who the heck are you? What are you doing in the house? What's the deal, dude? Who are you? And be firm about it. He did that, and then he responded back saying that it responded with, like, I'm Pazuzu. That is who I am. Take it or leave it. Kind of like, in a way that's saying, like, oh, I'm Pazuzu. I'm a king. And I mean, I just responded back in quotes to tell it, well, hey, I don't know that. How am I supposed to know that you're some kind of low-level twat-headed spirit that thinks that it's hot crap? As far as I know, you might be something that's... Because, I mean, I don't know about you. If you're this mighty Pazuzu, don't you want to flaunt yourself and have confidence instead of, like, trying to keep undercover? So, after then saying that, it just started to do... The friend told me it was starting to do this. Similar to, like, how a child is going, like, I'm not listening, not listening. And, I mean, I kind of chuckled when I first read that. Then I responded back to it. One last question for it to answer. And that's just saying, okay, I have one last question. Just one final question. And then I'll let you be your obnoxious self. Did that pact that was written and agreed upon, did it ever say that you could actually step in their house? No? Figured. Good. So now we know that, you can't be in their house because the pact doesn't say you can just trespass and step into their house. But what do you think I'm going to tell you to do next? The friend responded, in quotes. It responded with, like, a very quiet, what? Yep. And then I just told him, well, what I'm going to tell you next is to get out of here. Because you can't be here. The pact doesn't say you can trespass. So, out with you. Toodaloo, jackass. Don't know what else to say, but whoops. Minor detail. You should have, double-checked it. But now, please bear in mind, this is not actually making any kind of swing to any entity that actually thrives and actually does enforce pacts. No. Whenever it has to be done for, like, the well-being and safety of somebody else, that's different. And this is actually, like, one of those instances. But because since, Pazuzu for real would not really kind of act in this manner, he wouldn't. This isn't his way of handling things. Because usually the lesser known and ones that are not aligned. I have not, actually funny, I have not visited the Satanic Temple, and I don't believe, I don't have that specific mindset being atheistic. I can't function like that. Because that's like me denying hell, and I can't do that. I can't do it. Although I am an ally, and I stand up for those on the left. Yep, finding loopholes. Yep. That's the thing with whenever you make pacts and agreements, though. But the thing is, if you make a pact and agreement with like say a left-handed goetic divine being, try your best to uphold it and be honorable about it, or at least communicate that you need more time with it and be considerate. But if it's in a situation where it can actually put somebody else at risk, especially if it's somebody else's child that is just being handed over or something like that, pretty much what I'm saying is be realistic, be practical, but also be mindful of the other entity. Make sure every party that's involved in this big hot mess, because of someone else trying to get what they want, make sure that at least everybody can have some kind of satisfactory thing. Exactly. Because originally divinity is intended to actually support you. Actually, the idea of selling your soul to one of the goetic divines, or even Lucifer or Satanas, that's a Hollywood stereotype, to be honest, and I think I don't like it. It's just like, okay, you guys are misrepresenting the religion and the faith in the background of it, and the intention behind it. So since you guys don't know what it's about, and you're still talking about it incorrectly, why are you just putting it and stereotyping it like, well, there were some animals cut in a certain way in a field in a certain position, so it must be satanic work. That honestly, that agitates me so much, because it's just like, oh, a grotesque scene? How do you know it's satanic? How do you know a Satanist did this? Where's your proof? You don't have proof? Okay, then it's not satanic. Besides, you guys don't even know what satanic is. I hate people like that. Whoops. And even then, too, the goetic spirits and the goetic divines, they don't want your soul, because they're like, why do we need it? You have your own, and why don't you make the most of it? We have our own place, and we have our own focus. So giving you what makes you pretty much exist at your core, what good is it going to do me, and what is it going to do you if I take it, or if you give it to me? Now what do I do with this thing? And they're being put into the idea of being enslaved by it? No. Because there are some people that actually understand the whole process of pact making. And even though I'm not technically considered of the left-handed path altogether, although the closest I can say is I'm like a really adamant ally about it. Because they definitely have the right to have practice of their belief and their faith, regardless of whomever it is. They have the right to practice their faith and to have their faith acknowledged and respected. And if somebody doesn't like it, well, that's not their problem. That's not the Satanist problem that the other person is hissy-fitting. Oh, they're believing in a faith that I don't like. Well, that sucks for you. Get over it. There's a lot of things in this world I don't like, but you don't see me going at it being like, you are bad, I hate you. That's like kindergarten sandbox BS. I don't get it, because it's like, why are you letting somebody else outside of you who you probably only see for like 5 seconds? How come you're letting them affect your life so much like that? That's not really good, because just like giving them your whole being to be like, here, I'm going to be possessed by you because whatever reason I don't like whatever you're doing, it's going to make me become blinded by my own rage and anger. Are you going to lose self-control of yourself by just how somebody is just doing what's fulfilling to them and what makes them feel like they're bettering themselves and are growing? Are you going to let somebody else's growth bother you to that extent that you get into a primal aggressive state? I hope not, because that kind of points out, oh, lack of self-control. Somebody doesn't know how to get a sense of self, and they're letting somebody else indirectly get control of them. Or as I like to call it, they're fangirling, fanboying at someone so bad that they can't do anything else but fangirl, fanboy. And just by fangirling or fanboying at someone, it doesn't have to be like how it's like the stereotypical Justin Bieber woozy woo club. No. It can be something as simple as like somebody, whenever they see you, they get all up in your grill and they're giving you their time that they can't get back. And they're consistent and kind of a nuisance about it. Like they don't stop, they just keep coming towards you whenever they see you, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to try so hard to get your attention and affect you. Well, just completely put it on its head. Bamboozle them. Like, stop fangirling at me. You're making me important. Quit it. And not again with the, oh, I have to give you my full attention and I can't do anything else because I want to affect you. Well, get it here. Here's your number. Get in line. There's like 30 people ahead of you. And that goes as well for like bullies. If like somebody's like really trying to tear you down and like intimidate you, and they do it daily, just let them know that, hey, Cupcake, why are you so obsessed with me? Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't know what you see flattering about me, but okay, I guess. Thanks for making me feel like I'm important to you. And without me, you wouldn't have a life. Well, he just comes to me every day demanding my lunch money. He won't do anything else at this time of the day. So it makes me feel like, wow, I feel like I'm contributing a lot to his life. And if I wasn't here, he probably wouldn't have any lunch at school. Oh, well, whoops. And if you actually use that against someone that is harassing or bullying you, they're not going to know how to respond because it's going to be like, wait a minute, what? Why are you trying to say I'm like a fanboy to you? Because every day at this time, you always demand me I give you my lunch money. You don't do anything else. You always do this every single day. So it's like I'm part of an asset to your life. And if I was not here, you probably would be going hungry. So yeah, thanks for making me feel like very important. So now it's like, I don't even know if I should be around anymore because you're too dependent on me. Just completely took that whole situation and now just slap him in the face with it. Slap him in the face with their own BS. And the funniest part is you're not lying. If somebody's giving you their time, they can't take it back. So every second counts. So if you're giving your time to somebody that you can't get back, they must hold a very strong significance to you. Good, bad, dreadful, don't matter. That person is worthy of getting however long that they take and they try and persuade you to give you your money to them. Every second that goes by, they can't get that back. So with that in mind, they are giving you something that has tremendous value that can't be given back. So really, it's like a compliment. It's like, of all the people you choose, it's me to give your time to. Oh, thanks for that. And that's breaking it down to the most simplest thing, and then just taking that and then just completely smacking them back with it to a way they're not going to be able to understand or comprehend it because, for one, it's a truth, and they won't know how to respond to it because they're going to be like, you know what? In a way, I am kind of like being so obsessive about this person. Because yeah, if somebody is constantly coming at you, they're in a way that's like obsessed. Because of all the things that they always do this every time, nonstop. And they're persistent. And they don't stop. It is what it is. But still, how you respond to them, that's your choice, not theirs. You can choose to give them the money, or you can just choose to be all, stop fanboying at me. It's not cute anymore, dude. You know what? You're starting to act like one of those Justin Bieber fangirls. Don't be like that, please, because, that it's not good, hurt yourself. And yes, I'm referring to that incident when a lot of girls decided, oh, we're going to just harm ourselves for him. Why? That doesn't make sense, but okay. Tried. So really, yeah, everybody has to understand to take the idea of getting reconnecting with the self and actually understanding that you do have the choice on how you respond to everything. And you really are the one who decides how everything plays out. Nobody else. Because, again, your life, you decide what happens with it. And no matter what choice you make, whatever happens is your fault. That's consequence. It is what it is. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just what it is. And how you respond dictates that. And really, that's pretty much what I've got. Just for right now. What time is it? 11:44. Okay. So I'll leave it to open floor for a little bit. For like 15 minutes. So this is now the Q&A. So not answer, yeah. But any questions that you have, and I'll be here for another 15 minutes. But intermission break where I go. Okay. Hello, Z. Let's see. I feel like my DDs. Oh, yeah. Actually, it's funny. Hades, a lot of people don't, because usually when they hear Hades, the underworld, they think, oh, he's all evil and he's cruel. That's what happens when there's stereotypes. Because usually the underworld, they think, oh, that's where all the bad people go. No. Funny enough, Hades was actually seen to be one of, if not perhaps the most compassionate and actually understanding of all the Greek deities. Yeah, he didn't want to Yeah, he didn't want it because him being the oldest, he didn't want it, but he worked with it. But also Tartarus, then again, is one of those dark heaven. Well, the thing is heaven at the core of it all, pretty much, essentially, is a place where, how do I put this? Dark heaven, in order to best explain that, as you probably know, you know how there's the Devas, the Asuras, and the Rakshas? heaven is the place where the devas are at, pretty much. And a deva is a divine being, which does include Hades, believe it or not. If it's a divine being, and funny enough, actually, the underworld, this one might be an eye-opener. And I hope the FBI doesn't be like, oh my god, you can't say that. Whatever. The underworld, this is the underworld. The 3 plane that we're on, it's the underworld already. Because on how it's actually depicted with the underworld, that's usually where most of the pleasure seeking and the enjoyment of the self lies in, the underworld. While then the next level, actually, the best way to explain this is like this. Is actually using the 3 layers of like Dante's Divine Comedy, but not actually reading it referring to it really, but using that as like the structure. There's 3: the Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. So, Paradiso is where the devas are at, which are like any divine being, including Vishnu, Kali, Hera, Zeus, Hades, Persephone. Essentially, if it's a divine being, it's a deva. Then you get down to Purgatory, or pretty much where the Asuras are at. But here's the thing, though. Here's one thing about Athena. Athena does not have any bit of compassion or intuitive, emotional, or feminine energy to her. She does not have any. Like, she doesn't have the feminine energy to like feel and actually get into somebody else's shoes and connect to someone on an emotional level. She lacks that. But how? She's a goddess. She's a woman figure. She was born from Zeus's head. She only has the male qualities to her. That's all she has. She doesn't have any. She didn't have a mother figure. Just came out of Zeus's head. Yes, I can agree with that one. But I've only went towards her once, but I can't really. I'm trying to remember though. She was pretty swift when I spoke to her, but this was a while ago. But it just, for me, it didn't connect. But yes, Athena, being born only of Zeus, she lacks that feminine aspect to her. So she's not really the best to go to for like having somebody to listen. I mean, look how she handled Arachne and Medusa. Having your devotee beg you for help and then completely ignore her pleas for help. Hi, Kayla. The pleas for help being ignored, but then because of it happening when somebody could have stepped in and stopped it, and she didn't want to have it happen, yeah, and still punishing her despite asking for help, that's not really, something that's to be like smiled upon. Your own devotee giving and giving and giving to you, strictly being devoted and maintaining the virginal aspect to her to keep it pure and the whatnot. But when the situation arises where she needs your help, when she was always there to give to you, situation arises, you don't do it. Instead, you just go, oh, she needs my help? She did what in my temple? No. But, I mean, she didn't choose, originally in the known story, she didn't choose for that. There are alternative stories, but since Athena did it to someone already, like Arachne, and is she doing it again? That, to me, just does point out she doesn't have that side of, she doesn't have any empathy, and she lacks that. Yes, one of them, yes. Oh, Nicole. Yep. And in either way, Athena didn't even step in. And the thing is, regardless if it's like your own father or essentially even your uncle, if somebody is harassing, like, say, one of your students, in that case, that's the best way I can put it. If they're harassing your students or somebody who's working for you, that don't mean you can't step in and be like, excuse me, don't mistreat my people like that. Dad, I don't care who you are. You're not going to talk to my... You ain't going to talk to my people like that. No, I don't care. There's no... I mean, there's really no excuse for that behavior. If somebody's going to waltz in and just do what they want, and then you're going to blame the person instead of the people who are actually doing it? Blame the victim instead of the person who was actually pushing and actually forcing it upon the other person that was the victim? So the aggressor gets to get what he wants and walk away scotch-free, but the victim gets punished? That makes perfect sense. That logically makes sense. No. And channeling, I can't really say the best books because I don't read books. All that I've learned was hands-on experience, and I just let it just flow. But I also was taught for my mentor Russell up until his death. Yeah, he was teaching me stuff like every single day on his own will. So I can't really recommend books because I'm not much of a book reader. I either learn hands-on or that's pretty much it, just hands-on. I like to really get myself engaged in something and not just read about it and have somebody else tell me about it, because that makes me question it a lot. Because if I don't have something to back it up, if I don't have my own experience with it, I usually am just, I don't know how to respond to this. Never been in this situation before, so I got nothing. Because I put myself in those situations to actually be like, okay, this is what happened with me regarding such entity. That's the best way for me to actually learn too. By getting my hands quote unquote dirty instead of like, okay, so this is what this person said about it, okay, then this, yeah, no. And also while I'm thinking about it, once I come back from the next client I have at 1:30, and also some people are just able to learn better by reading. That is what it is. And there are some people that also learn by being told something. I am, but that's one of the things I have to be careful of, because anybody can tell me BS and then I can get stuck with it. That's one of my like pitfalls. Wait a minute. Oh. If that's what the term's called, Kayla, then yes. I'm got nothing. I'm not really in tune with the specifics of it, but essentially, yeah. But at least for me, I mean, when it comes to like going, experiencing anything else, I'm completely open to it as long as it doesn't swing at me or hissy fit at me. Because I mean, I don't know. And I don't seek out anything. I let it come towards me. Because for myself, I'm content with already having hell. But if anything else comes my way, okay, not going to say no. But if it just makes a big hissy fit, out with it. But also, I'm not really open really to the angelic forces either. Because I'm not going to be forced to do what one guy says and not question it. You kind of also be working with a narcissist. Nope. Not nothing to do with that. Not feeling it. I will not be doing what a narcissist tells me to do. And if I question it, I get hissy fitted at by pigeon men. No, not doing it. And I also do not want to be on the same side with he who fonts either. You know, those, notice me! I'm an old geezer with bling. I think that's kind of counterintuitive, don't you think? You're demanding people donate, yet you're now coming in with bling? Okay. That doesn't raise questions, but whatever floats your boat. And I don't know if any of you were here on that live stream, but when someone actually tried to threaten me and was all, you better stop doing magic and witchcraft, otherwise I'm going to send angels after you. Oh, you're going to send angels after me? Well, that's cute. Oh, wait, you really are going to send angels at me? Oh, what's taking so long? Where's your pigeons? Seriously, though. Even on that live stream, yeah, Kayla, I think you were there. I actually like called them out thinking like, wow. Oh, they're going to... Well, actually, that's when you can bamboozle and be like, you're going to bring who into my life? No. No. I don't need him. Besides, I'll decide if I want him or not. Sure, though. It's your life. You decide what happens with it. So, therefore, sorry, Tootsie, you can keep him. I can't accept, you know, your attempted forcing onto me a pigeon man that has a temper problem in all due respects. Actually, I have a question for maybe you guys all to ponder about. And when I get back, you can probably answer it. Primarily, what is the intention of the faith you practice? What are you trying to gain out of it? Are you just down it just to actually just get salvation from it? Are you doing it for bettering yourself? Are you doing it to better other people? Preserving the history of the path, or trying to teach other people with it? What is like your main focus with it? Or are you just using it a way to not suffer for the rest of your life and the afterwards? So that's the answer that has to come from you, not me. But just having that self-reflection. Are you really doing this practice for bettering yourself and expanding with it? Or are you just doing it just to rebel for the sake of rebelling? That's up to you to answer. But I have to get going and I have to get ready to go back, so I will just see you guys later then.